Hey there, guys, and welcome back to another Factorio Friday Facts discussion, number 362, menu simulation, Spidertron, ghost building, and confirm button. A lot of awesome stuff, and I'm joined by Bomb Bug as always.
Hello, hello. How you doing this fine Friday, X?
Doing okay. Excited to be here. We have another official Friday Facts, and a pretty awesome one at that. How
Oh
about you?
boy. Yeah, it's a pretty cool one. It's nice to see the Friday facts coming in, honestly. I do like all the mod talk from the Alt F4, but this stuff is like official, legit. You know cool stuff is coming your way. It's
Yeah,
good to see it.
really good to see it, and we got some cool stuff. Um, basically, in the last Friday Facts I did, not last week, but the last one, they presented that we now have the capability to show real game simulations and tips and tricks. Naturally, we asked ourselves what else could be used, this technology could be used for. We've dreamed about this multiple times in the past, but the technical roadblocks didn't make us think too seriously. We'd like the main menu background to be a real animated simulation of the game, similar to what Transport Tycoon or Roller Coaster Tycoon games have. I love Roller Coaster Tycoon.
It's been many a fine day there in my youth.
Yeah, and it's really cool how they have the animated menus in the background. So basically, instead of like cinematic trailers, they want to present the game in its true form. Um, so basically, they're just doing kind of it looks like a slideshow basically. The scenes are randomly rotated where all of them have to play once before they repeat. So this is pretty cool. It's uh, it animates through, shows parts of the game. Uh, Maybe I'm just really, I mean, I am tired, but maybe this is why, because I'm tired. This is kind of jarring to me. I don't, I don't know what you think. Like it, or maybe I'm just like prone to like epilepsy or something. But like just with the like
I
screenshots going like one after the other, it's like kind of startling to me.
So I may be misunderstanding how this works as well, but how I'm imagining it working is they are showing you screenshots from several of the different scenes, but what it's really going to be is one scene animated played through to the end, and then it goes to another scene animated and plays through to the end. That's
Okay, is
like the
that
feeling I'm getting. I could totally be wrong though, but I agree with you. If it's like this, it's pretty jarring.
okay? Yeah, it seems it's hard to tell. Yeah, because they don't necessarily say it's screenshots, but at the same time they say instead of things like cinematic trailers. So
They're going to show real game simulations like in the tips and tricks, which makes me think
oh,
it's going to be animated.
okay. I mean, then that would be great if it's what you said and not just flashing screenshots. Yeah, that would actually be awesome. So yeah, maybe just misinterpreting this. Because yeah, actually you're probably right. Because honestly, I don't see why they couldn't have just done screenshots up until this point. So it wouldn't really make sense for this whole revolutionary thing to just allow screenshots to be played.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to do some simulations. I mean, looking at it, I can definitely see like a train pulling into the train station and unloading, a little bit of a battle with the fighters there, and some bots placing out your solar array. I think
Uh-huh.
that's pretty slick if that's how it's going to be.
Yeah, it's gonna be super awesome. So really excited about that. They say the main menu should include both the Factorio and Woobi software logos. The Factorio logo has been used in many places, from prints to trailers, many times already. Its concept is that the logo is an entity like any other and integrates itself into the world by being built there if at all possible, which is pretty cool. Let's see here. The Woobi logo is different both graphically and in concept, so we can't represent it as an entity. It makes a lot of sense that Woobi is in a layer underneath the world of Factorio, so we're using it as a special water tile. So that's pretty cool how it's like kind of almost like buried and like dug up or something.
Yeah, and I think the way that they integrated it into their well, the set of screenshots that we can see above is just pretty nice. You know, they've got the Factorio logo and the Woobi logo somewhat framed by the scene itself around it.
Yes.
It looked pretty slick, gotta say.
Very, very slick. So from now on, the Factorio entity and Woobi water tile are both buildable in the map editor without the use of mods, which is pretty sweet. The water ruby only works well in specific positions as it repeats an 8x8 tile pattern, so fitting it in an existing factory can be tricky. Make it clear that behind the menu is not your factory. Every scene has the logos in the exact same position, and the screen has a vignette-like shader on the edges. So that's good, just to kind of make it clear. But yeah, super cool. Just adding even more to the game. Really, really like it. Uh, I think, I think what we're all here for though is the next section,
Spidertron.
Spidertron, and it's basically stuff we didn't ask for, but now realize that we need, or at least I didn't ask for. I mean, I didn't really notice some of this stuff, but they're adding it, and that's fantastic. Um, and then something big that we did ask for, and there is something missing that I'm asking for, which I hope they add. But um, yeah, so there's a last minute thing basically at 1.1, and apparently people use it a lot. Gee, go figure.
I wonder why.
I
Other than
wonder
that,
why.
it's the freaking like coolest vehicle that there has ever been.
Yeah, it's like, I
Wow.
mean, yeah,
And also, immunity to trains, being able to walk over buildings without having, was it squeeze through?
mm-hmm.
That's just real nice. Oh, and the trees. Walk over the trees. Heck yeah.
Yeah, walk over the trees, lean over the edge of the water and fish, and I mean, yeah, it's basically been like a teased meme in the like community for years. So of course, once we get it, which means we received a ton of great feedback, and the polish of Spidertron will be generally worth it. Here are the biggest tweaks we've made. So first off, in the building preview, the Spidertron now moves its legs when being built to make it almost always buildable, which is super cool. So this is on the left, we got the before logic that the legs stop it from being placed, and on the right, you can see it's moving its legs to basically allow you to place it just about anywhere, which is super, super awesome.
And disturbing.
But well, yes, yes. I mean, I think the whole thing is still disturbing,
Spidertron.
but
Incredibly so. I love it.
yes, fantastic. Also, they try not to be in the way. Spidertron now moves his leg out of the way so buildings can be constructed. This applies both for ghost buildings and manual buildings. So this is one thing that I actually encountered a lot that was kind of frustrating. Is even though the Spidertron can walk over buildings, if it's already standing somewhere and you went to like place something or ghost something, it just wouldn't be built. But that is now fixed.
Man, this is like getting the Tesla autopilot updates. Hey, you can now handle these kind of intersections too.
Right? Yeah, that's pretty great. I like how his legs just kind of twitch to the side. He's like, oh, oops, like about to be standing on something.
Excuse me. Pardon me. I'm coming through.
Also, he avoids rails. So, decision to make legs not collide with the train makes sense as you can't control the leg position so precisely, and they're also invulnerable. But it looks kind of bad when there's a spider leg in the middle of the rail and the train just goes through it. So we made the spider legs unable to step on the rail. So before, he's just, smack dab in the rail, train goes through him. In this case, he is basically just avoiding stepping on the rails if at all possible.
Pretty cool. Very delicately placing his spindly little legs there.
Yeah.
Still a little bit, graphically noticeable that the Spidertron is just in front of everything, right?
Yes.
But, do what you can.
Yeah. Gotta do what you can. So that is still kind of nice. Basically, though, a little more info on that. Change required us to use one more collision layer for the base game, as rails needed to have their own layer. This would leave even less spare collision layers for the modders. Since our sim found some unused bytes in the entity data, which is basically free real estate, we increased the collision mask bit size from 16 to 56 without increasing the data footprint, which is fantastic. This means for modders, there are now open collision layers from layer 12 all the way to layer 55, and mod conflicts will be much less likely. So they actually took something that could have been bad and actually just made it even better. So
Yep. They're like, we're gonna do this awesome, cool thing. Let's just do extra awesome, cool things right on top of it. That'll make modders' lives amazing.
Right? Yeah, it's super great. So, to help somewhat with managing all the new collision layers, Clonin wrote a small Lua util lib called collision mask util, which provides a bunch of helper functions. It is hoped that if mods use the functions provided in the helper lib, can allow all mods to work together without hard coding specific special cases. If you have any suggestions for functionality of this little helper lib or any questions, please let us know. Um,
Excellent, dude. The mod support for from Wooby is just always excellent. I love to see it,
yeah, it's really above and beyond, isn't it?
and they know that that's where a lot of their post end game content comes from. A lot of their
Mm-hmm.
little convenience, quality of life stuff, and as gamers themselves, they just are so on board with that. Rather than saying, "Nah, we're gonna lock this, and maybe in 2 years we'll release a little DLC where you can get a little bit of that one mod that some guy wrote in his spare time."
Right? Yeah, huge difference.
Squeeze through now only $2.99 on the Steam store.
That's yeah, that's definitely how some games would do it. um, so we now have Spidertron item colors. So this was kind of interesting. I didn't really actually realize this was a thing or not before, but we fixed not only that Spidertron item colors didn't show in the inventory, but we also fixed the way items are rendered on the ground and belts. This includes spider remotes, blueprints, upgrade planners, and such. So, okay, so basically it's just like actually showing the correct thing. Like the blueprints actually have like the preview on them, which is super cool. The Spidertrons are like color coded. It looks like the remotes are color coded, so it's just instead of just like blank standard stuff.
Very nice. I feel like this is gonna give little extra oomph to. I don't know if you've seen there's a mod that's what's it called? Something like Mini Factory or something,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like people are placing the items down themselves, and that's like the size of what the building is going to be when you how'd you say it? When you build the building versus just dropping an item on the ground.
Huh.
And I don't know if you've seen something like that. I remember seeing like people were just like laying out their belts item itself on the ground,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you know putting little furnace items above it and little
Right.
inserter items and everything. And it's like you're gonna get some extra stuff kind of like this from it.
Yeah, yeah,
Be kind
that's
of cool.
that's very true. I remember that. There's a bit of a trend for that on the subreddit for a while.
Yep. I
um,
think it's kind of cute.
yeah, it is. It's really really cool, really creative, and like you said, that this just adds to that, which is pretty neat. I didn't think of that. Uh, and then two last amazing things for Spidertron. First one being the biggest, highly requested, probably most requested thing is Spidertron logistic requests. So now, well, not now, but once 1.1 is introduced, because this is in that update, one of the main uses for Spidertron is to let them build using the personal roboports, but the lack of an automated resupply method made the process less flawless than intended. This applies also to using them for combat, as restocking ammunition, repair packs, and such had to be done manually. So basically, they can now have logistic requests just like the player, which is absolutely fantastic. Because
Yeah, it's kind of just a huge pain point, isn't it? If you don't have actual requests on what's supposed to be your what would you call it? A home away from home sort of a tool
right,
like Spidertron.
yes, exactly. So that is fantastic, and something really also quite nice. Almost equally so is the copy paste Spidertron settings. So Spectron now supports copy paste, which not only copies the color, name, and logistic requests, but even the equipment grid contents, which takes it from the player doing the operation if possible. This removes the tedium of setting up additional Spidertrons. So this is super nice. Like if you want multiple Spidertrons to go help build something, or you want multiple Spidertrons with the same layouts, as like a death squad to go kill the biters. You can just copy paste instead of setting it up manually every single time.
Very nice. Thinking about this, being able to just copy paste, set everything up super nice and easy from your logistics system as well. I want to see just an army of Spidertrons with the Star Wars Imperial March playing in the background, just as they like march
Yes.
down unceasingly through hordes of biters and nests. Oof.
Oh man, that would be glorious. Be fantastic. Uh, and then we have some ghost building stuff on the last section. Do you want to cover that?
Sure. So this is a ghost building by Coverex. Okay, so we have Spidertron working well. It can semi-automatically request stuff and build in remote places, but it just amplifies a different problem that we've had in the game for quite some time, and it's the awkwardness of ghost building. The ghost building is a great example of a feature that was technically complete, but I was personally avoiding it as much as I could because it was missing all the quality of life improvements available with the manual building. The first one being Ghost Fast Replace. The most frequent thing I'm missing is the fast replace, especially with belts, to either upgrade them or just change the direction. So this was logically the first thing to solve. To make things not easy for us, the ghost building must be able to fast replace not just the ghosts, but also the entities that are already built, which basically applies for all those features that will follow. This doubles or more the amount of combinations that we have to consider internally, but I believe the result is worth it. So in the graphic here, we can see a belt and some ghost belt going one way, and then being able to reverse the direction with the ghost building. Thank goodness.
Yes.
This confused me a whole lot about ghost building, and I had to redo so many times. I'm sure you've had some poor
Mm,
experiences as well.
yes. Yeah. This was
Yeah.
quite frustrating, a little confusing, counterintuitive, but now it's fixed. It's fantastic. You can now reverse build, and it is really nice too that it um, will kind of apply to the already built thing too. Um,
Yeah, it's usually what you need to do when you're reversing belts, so they gotta add that in.
yes.
Yeah, so adding the feature for just this one case opens the floodgates for all the other quality of life improvements, as once you get used to one, you expect them all to be there. This means that all the belt to underground belt, belt to splitter, belt to underground pipe, fast replace logic, and more. So we just did it all, which is awesome.
Yes.
Right. Then, because we talked about this earlier, power pole connections. Another basic problem with Ghost was that Power Pole Ghost did not show wire connections. It did work for circuit connections, as these just had to be preserved, so the groundwork was already done. This means that it wasn't really hard to implement, not only to show ghost connections, but also to show connections inside a blueprint. Once ghost poles started to show the connections, we could completely remove the logic of revive poles, trying to connect to new poles, as instead it followed the predetermined connections from the ghost state. So the process is more deterministic from the user point of view. And here comes the nice cherry on top. Once we have this logic in place, making blueprints preserve the wire connections could be implemented almost for free. So the game now supports it, and problems like this link from Reddit could finally go away after years and years of repeated suggestions to make this happen. Now, I have seen this kind of post on Reddit, I mean, dozens of times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Frustrates everybody. People want their pretty circuit board printed out on their map. They want it now. Why
Yes.
is it always ugly, man?
Yeah.
So over the years, the most prominent argument against this being implemented would be that how it would manage connections of the blueprints to entities already existing in the world. Well, the solution we missed is so obvious. The connections out inside the blueprint are strictly following the original, while the connections to the entities already existing on the map are being automatically created as before. So you should be able to use blueprints as before, even if you didn't care about the connections. A word on this, Mr. Exterminator.
This is absolutely brilliant, fantastic. This this is like this has been a complaint from so many people. The community as a lot as a whole, almost I would say, for a very long time, is that you would build a setup, make your power poles awesome and perfect, like the power lines, because you would manually place them in the original setup, and you blueprint it, and then when you put it down, the bots wouldn't follow it because it wasn't reserved in the blueprint. So then you would end up with these wacky power pole connections, even though you had set them exactly the way you wanted in the original. So this is just absolutely huge and something that's been missing for a very, very long time. I think this will make people extremely happy.
I love how it's like non-functional, really, right? Like your power poles are still going to be connected to everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so important to us Factorio players. We
Mm-hmm.
want it to be neat. I made a grid, and gosh dang it, I want that grid to be preserved.
Yes, exactly. Or, I made some smiley face with power pole connections. I want to keep
Oh,
that.
yep.
So,
So yeah, there's some more similar to it in the build by dragging section, which build by dragging is just another example of something that had to work for ghosts as well. So now it works for all the currently supported NVs, poles, underground belts, and underground pipes. Apart from ghosts, there is one tweak to building by dragging for poles. The previous logic seemed to be fine. Number one, uh, remember the last position that could connect to any pole. And then two, once the current pole can't be connected to anything, build on the last known good position. The logic almost does what we mean when we say build by dragging, but what we really mean in our minds is to build a connection to the last pole as far as possible, regardless of other poles in the vicinity, so things like this don't happen. And man, this one frustrates me because I have this happen all the time.
mm-hmm.
And it just kind of resets its logic, and it's like, oh, I'm close to something new, so I just won't build. I'll wait until I get input from what's furthest away from this pole now, you know?
Yes.
So they fixed it. Thank goodness. This one's actually functional and is extra nice.
Yeah, this one is super nice. Being able to do the drag building for Ghost is so, so nice. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just just great. Like there's not much else to say here except just that everything in this Friday Facts is absolutely amazing and fantastic quality of life. Um,
Absolutely.
and then this one last little bit at the end, which is also still a really good thing. Um, so continue button and confirm. This was an example of a final tweak to do in Friday Facts 360, so it was basically mandatory and it serves its job fine. Now you can continue right into joining a multiplayer game, hosting a game, etc. However, it is related to another bigger subject, and it is the cancel versus continue struggle. The main motivation to start on this topic was this dialogue. So, like when you set requests and stuff here, they say it happened to us countless times that we just set up the item, the value, and press E. Oops, I need to do it again and confirm it this time instead. um, so the general rule is that when users use your UI in the wrong way again and again and again, you can either really try to teach them to use it quote unquote properly, or you can just make this usage correct. uh, Internally, the key E and the key escape were doing the same thing, but in our minds, not really. Typically, the user sets up something in the game window, and when they are done, they close it with E. Like if you go into your inventory to look at something or grab something, then when you're done, you hit E. Um, this connects E with confirmation of what is done rather than cancellation. This realization leads quite straightforwardly to the change we made in game, which is actually stupid simple, a good sign. Yes, all changes that are stupidly simple are really good. Uh, so E now equals confirm, the same as pressing the green button, and escape equals cancel, the same as pressing the X button. Once this was made to work in all the relevant windows, it felt very natural to start using it in many different places, and the game feels much more fluid. We even added a special sound for clicking the green buttons, confirming them with the E so it all clicks into place. So this is, again, just super awesome, fantastic. Now make sense. You do what you need to do. You hit E. It's confirmed, save, boom, you're done. If you want to just not continue with it, you just hit escape, as is the universal cancel key basically, and it takes you out of it.
Very nice. Also, I do want to mention, uh, reading this post was the first time I learned about the E key, doing something there. I always just used escape or click the confirm button. I didn't know that E did anything.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah. So yeah. I guess, I mean, either way, like usually, if you're in your inventory, just like looking at something or to pull something out, then you can use E or escape. It's basically the same, but like in this case, you know, previous to this current change is talking about that if you hit E, it would just not actually confirm and save the thing. It would basically just exit out of it, which didn't really make any sense. Um,
Yeah, this is a solid change. Even only just having learned about it, I can see that.
yeah, so um, we hope you have enjoyed reading about some of the upcoming changes for 1.1. If you have any thoughts or feedback, please let us know at the usual places. So I have some feedback. And, well,
Lay it on me. Let's hear it.
first off, Um, everything mentioned in here, super positive, zero complaints, fantastic. However, there's something in my mind that's missing. I actually made a video fairly recently about like the top 3 things that I wish Spidertron had. One of them was the logistic request, so that's taken care of. Another one is kind of maybe more of a, dream, but one that I do think is very important, and I really hope they implement, is the ability to see how much ammo is in the Spidertron in its actual ammo slots by mousing over it. Um,
Please.
because, like, I can it doesn't. This is not a feature for any vehicle. It's not like it's just the Spidertron. But for tanks and cars, they're now remotely controlled. You're going to be in them, so it doesn't really matter. Like, when you're going to need to you don't need to look at it remotely that often. But the Spidertron is remote controlled. A huge feature of it is being able to send it out to do stuff. One of those things being destroying bases. Um, and a problem I constantly run into is I have no idea how much ammo it has in it, and I've had multiple times where I go to send it to attack a base and realize, oh crap, it actually has no ammo, so I have to retreat. Um, because when you mouse over it, you can't actually see how much ammo it has in its weapon slots.
Seen it many, many a time. It is sad, and you're just kind of running around like, well, I've got 2 lasers in there. I guess I can clear out an entire massive base with 2 personal defense lasers.
right? Exactly. Um, and you can't open it from the map either. One alternative would be to be able to open it, like actually open the GUI for it from the map, just like you can do for trains. I mean, that's an alternative. Um, Either way, please, devs, if you watch this or anyone wants to give them feedback, I mean, I can ask as well directly, but um, some way to just see how much ammo the Spidertron has left would be absolutely fantastic.
Agreed.
But that's the only like other thing I'm really wanting here. Everything else is super cool. How about you?
Yeah, I just have a general comment about reading these. It's that Factorio is super deep. There's a lot of things going on here. I feel like I learned something from these so often, and I feel like I've played Factorio, a decent amount.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as some people, for sure, but a lot more than others. And for me to be learning things like the E key now, oh my gosh! I really hope that someone watching this now learns about build by dragging,
Mm-hmm.
because, dude, I I think I played like 15, maybe 20 hours before I learned how to build by dragging. Just imagine poor little bomb buggy running super super far to get his first patch of oil, dragging a what do you call it, underground pipes, just very very carefully behind him, connecting one by one by hand,
Oh
and
god.
then having to do the same things to get the power up to the pump. It's
Yeah.
just like, don't be poor little bomb buggy after 20 hours.
Yes.
Study up, watch these things, see all of the nice quality of life that they've provided you, and play the game as it was meant to be played, with all the power at your fingertips and only limited by your brain,
Yes. Which for some of us, like me,
It's a hard
sometimes
limit.
can be a very big limitation.
Yep.
but yeah, it's like I mean that's a great one. I really hope that I don't remember. It's got to be in there. I really hope that the build drag is like something that's in the tips and tricks menu they talked about last time. Um,
It's got to be, but yeah, yeah. Oh, I do remember seeing it, I
okay,
think.
cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just,
yeah,
also being a longtime gamer, I tend to skip a lot of stuff,
same.
It's like, oh, I'll read that later, or oh, that looks somewhat obvious. I'm just gonna skip over it and keep
Mm-hmm.
gaming.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Thinking you know better than the game. Um, but yeah, this is great. I'm sure some people learned some stuff. I think everyone is probably excited. I really see absolutely no negatives to any of this. And if they can just add the ammo thing, I will be a happy camper. Um, but yeah, I think that'll do it. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. We'd love to hear your thoughts down below. And of course, leave your thoughts for the devs, any feedback you have on the forums and Reddit. And until next time, we will see you later.
Catch you later.